911 location of your emergency.
Breaking news out of North Idaho. Moscow police are investigating a homicide on King Road.
Is she breathing?
No.
So 5'10", all black. Could you see what color his eyebrows were or anything like that?
No, I don't remember what his eyes look like either.
Officers discovered the bodies of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Maddie Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves, but no weapon has been located at this time.
Arrested. That's 28-year-old Bryan Christopher Kohberger in custody today.
Mr. Kohberger allegedly stalked one of the victims. That's false.
We do not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122, but we can put his phone in that area. There are many residences in that area. It's a dense population of mostly college-related occupants.
Everything is alleged.
Hey there, guys. How is everyone doing? There's a few unsealed documents that we're going to go over real quick. Now, I'm going to be with Bronx Tales and Mike, the last 24, around like 9:30. After Custody Queens does their interview with Chris Whitcomb, we're going to do like an instant reaction sort of like review thing over there. So I'm going to jump. We're going to be done with this. I'm going to jump off of here like right around 7. Like at 7, we'll be done. But I saw that these came out and I wanted to go through these because there's some Othram information in here. There's just a couple of different things that seem to be pretty important. Now, there is like 1 or 2 of them that are of no importance whatsoever because it's stuff that we've technically already seen. But I wanted to look through these while we had a good hour and a half to actually look through these. You know, people are always mentioning my eyeshadow. Let me just show you what the frick it is, okay? And I do not have the link to this stuff. I got this off the TikTok shop like some months ago. It is just this little bitty, this is all this is like a glitter. And it's just like, I don't know. I like mermaids, so the shimmer works. It was like $5. It's from R. Bella. I've had like 1,000 comments of it, so I figured I would just like eventually say something. Yeah, R. Bella. It's probably from, I don't know, from some Chinese warehouse somewhere. I don't freaking know. It came from TikTok. It's easy and it's not too dark and it does what it needs to do. And so I just been using that one. Okay. So we have, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So we have a few. Okay. We have like 4 or 5 documents. Let me show you guys real quick what this shows over here. There's only a few, but there's some interesting information. And again, we're going to need to sit down and look through them further in more detail. But the Othram one looks like it has more detailed information on all the DNA matches, which I find really interesting. See right here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many of them did I print so far? Because I think I only got 3 of them. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. To this one. Okay, let me save these real quick, and then I'm going to add them to the Google Drive. That's not what I wanted to open. Let me save these just in case they rip them out of here, which I should have done it already, but let me do this real quick. And I'll add these to the folder after the live so that they're in there. These are all from 2/24/25 too. Okay, and there's this last one. Like this one right here about the text messages and testimony, it looks exactly the same as everything else that we've gotten. See, it's pretty much like that original, less detailed version that we ended up getting, but we're going to go ahead and get this saved anyway. I'm really just more interested in like the Othram one to look over right now because it does have more specifics when it comes to the DNA stuff. Get rid of all this crap right here. Okay. So I think it's this one. Yeah. So this one's 22 pages. Here's the link that goes straight to the Idaho Case of Interest website. See, there's a lot more information on this one. So this is the one that I really wanted to focus on for this hour and a half or so that we have. Let me get this fixed. I guess I'd be better off over here in this little corner. We just now started MGP. Just now started. Okay, so this is exhibits 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in support of motion in limine to exclude the IGG evidence. Now, this is going to contain Othram report from December 16th, the Bates discovery number, this Bates discovery number, the defendant's 15th supplemental request for discovery or exhibit N, and then exhibit 5, which is the state's response to defendant's 22nd supplemental response for discovery. But this is the preliminary report. Now, remember, on December 10th, and they have some correspondence from December 10th in this as well. On December 10th is when Othram was told to stop what they were doing. Everything got sent over. Well, not technically, that's not true. We can't really say that anymore. Everything got sent over to the FBI. What ended up happening is that the FBI did take over the IGG, but there was some sort of like portal that they got to, like the FBI basically logged into and pulled stuff from. So there was like a third-party middleman program that Othram and the FBI used in order for information to be transferred over, is the gist of it. So again, this is the December 16th, 2022 preliminary report. There's the Othram case number, OCN 22112201, which most likely just means 2022 and 1122 for the beginning of the address, unless it's just a random number, and then that's crazy as hell, but who knows. So then there's the agency case number and then the lab number. Summary, based on forensic genetic genealogy, or FGG. Let me make sure the page looks okay. See, okay, I just don't want the text mixed up. I want you guys to be able to actually see it. Even though I know quite a few people just listen, but I still know there's still people that look at the screen. So I want to make sure that it's big enough. Okay. So based on forensic genetic genealogy and records research, the recommendation is to retrieve DNA reference samples from either blank, 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 or blank. So these would be the names of the 4 brothers that they're claiming are descendants of the identified most recent common ancestors, MRCAs, for DNA match number 1 and DNA match number 2. Okay, that's weird. DNA database. The DNA profile was uploaded to Family Tree DNA and GEDmatch Pro and was matched with genetic relatives suitable for FGG and RR. And the RR, again, is the records research. Biogeographical admixture analysis. These results indicate that the unidentified subject, the unsub, that's a term that you've probably heard before, has a broad heritage, North Atlantic, Baltic, Western, and Eastern Mediterranean, West Asian, and Red Sea origins. North Atlantic, Baltic, Western and Eastern Mediterranean, West Asian, and Red Sea origin. Interesting. Preliminary interpretation and recommendations. The DNA profile was uploaded to FTDNA and GEDmatch Pro, the authorized genetic genealogy databases for law enforcement use. Admixture results revealed. The unsub is a male of broad origins. DNA testing candidates were identified to help move the investigation forward. However, the DNA analysis and genealogical research are incomplete. At the request of the agency, work on this case ceased on December 10th, 2022. Now, here is Exhibit A, admixture urogenes K13. So this is the DNA mixture number 1. Is this the unsub mixture? This is the unsub DNA that says where they are, like in the world, where the DNA is coming from. Where the DNA is coming from. And it says again, North Atlantic, Baltic, West Mediterranean, West Asian, East Mediterranean, Red Sea, South Asian, East Asian, Siberian, Amerindian, Ocean, Northeast African, and Sub-Saharan. I'm not really quite sure that sounds like Kohberger. I mean, it seems like a little bit of everything. Seems like a little bit of everything. Are you trying to mean that she was pulled over in Moscow on Friday? Or on Saturday? Because that would be brand new if that's the case. I've never heard that before. Right? Like everything but a white person. Right? Doesn't sound German or Italian to me. I mean, you sit, and I know, okay, Elon Musk is a white African man, okay? So we're not going to pretend like white people don't live in Africa, like, because a lot of people do think that for some reason, that Africans are just black people, which is crazy. But, you know, public school really failed a shit ton of people. Let's just leave it at that. But this does not sound like anything that we've heard about Kohberger's family heritage. Like literally at all. This is kind of strange, but okay. Then the first footnote says the estimate provides a percentile breakdown of the populations to which the subject's autosomal. Why do I always forget the exact pronunciation of that word? Okay, DNA is connected. Estimates are dependent upon the reference populations used. Okay, well, I don't really care about that part. I want to know why, like, they think all of this. See, this is the marker part of the DNA that I was under the understanding was all for entertainment. Like, if you go to 23andMe or like all these other ones that try to tell you like where exactly your heritage is, a lot of them will say in the fine print and in the advertising on the websites that this is for entertainment purposes only, and it's not a science that they can actually like get down there. There's even an interview with the president of one of the big companies that did this, and he was like, this is not a science. This is just something that is entertainment. Yeah, there's things that we can look at, but we don't know what the hell it really is. So are they using a different technology than these commercial places? Because the commercial places are literally for entertainment purposes only, and they're not actually real. I mean, seriously, guys, I've seen identical twins send in their DNA to the exact same company, and they come back with completely different ethnicities listed. Not just different percentages of ethnicities, different actual ethnicities and heritages and backgrounds, and they're identical twins. That's how bullshit this stuff actually is, if you want to be serious. Now, I don't know what any of these half things are. I don't know what these 3 C's are. To me, it sounds like curly hair. Okay, I don't know what these C's and all this stuff is. This would probably be something more that Glitch DNA probably has a better understanding of all these percentages and what these little things right here mean. I have no idea. I will know by the time we go back through and do a deeper dive into these things, because now this is something else I'm going to need to learn. But as of right now, I have no clue what any of this part right here means, except for percentages of maybe they might be related to this person or this person. Okay. DNA match number 1, and there's a name redacted, shares 70.7 centimorgans. Assuming no pedigree collapse or endogamy, the potential common ancestor for a DNA match sharing 70.7 cms is 8th great grandparent level or closer. My God, 8 generations? 8 generations? You know how wide of a net you are casting to go 8 generations of possibilities? My God. The relationship probabilities are probable relationship probabilities. 33% on that first line. See, I don't know what any of these mean. Half 3C1R, 3C2R. I don't know what any of this means. Maybe a cousin. Does C mean cousin? I don't know. And then down here, it shows half GG, niece, nephew, half GG, aunt, uncle, 2C, half. Yeah, I don't know. H is half cousin. H is half. Wait, where is it? Oh my God. I just saw it. Where we go? H is half C is cousin. R is removed. So half cousin. Oh, I get it. Oh my God. Thank you so much for that. Okay. So half cousin, third time removed. Right here, I guess. Third cousin once removed. Half, what is 2C? 2C, half second cousin, 2 times removed. Oh my God. This is complicated. Half third cousin. Third cousin once removed. Half second cousin twice removed. Second cousin third time removed. I get it now. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh my God, that makes so much freaking more sense. I was like, what the hell are we looking at? Thank you so much. Okay. Half second cousin once removed. Half first cousin twice removed. First cousin, 3 times removed. And then 16% is fourth cousin. Half third cousin, once removed. Third cousin, twice removed. And then 4%, and it just keeps going and gets like lesser and lesser and lesser and more removed as it goes, it looks like. Thank you for that. That totally makes freaking sense to me. Okay. So then DNA match number 2 shares 60 centimorgans. Assuming no pedigree collapse or endogamy, the potential common ancestor for a DNA match sharing 60 centimorgans is 8th great grandparent level or closer. So the same exact like net really. And all these look exactly the same pretty much. 4C, yeah, they're pretty much all the same. But they just don't get really into like these, I guess, classifications down in here. That's interesting. So you're going to show us number 3 and number 4? No, just the first 2. This right here is just kind of tripping me out. Like, this doesn't sound like the heritage of the family that we've heard. Most recent common ancestors. DNA match number 1 and number 2, red outlined, share blank, unknown, and blank from a green outline. Now, remember, we do have from Lisa Larkin names from some of the grandparents, and then there's also some of additional initials in Leah Larkin's report as well. And of course, we're not able to see that part. Due to the low matches, reference samples are needed to further the investigation. The 4 brothers outlined in blue in the diagram above are great-grandchildren of blank. The brothers are 1 generation closer to the MRCA. Okay. Testing 1 generation above the highest match could identify additional DNA matches to the unsub and help place the unsub in the family tree. I want to know who these guys are so bad. And not for any other reason than to just know who they are because I'm curious. And I understand that their privacy is important. So if we never find out, I'm totally freaking okay with that too. But I would at least really like to maybe hear the phone call of them calling one of them and asking them what was said. I wonder if they would release that via FOIA. Obviously, they would redact things. We would expect them to. But we know that Gooch and Matthew Gamet handled this phone call. Like, the way that it's written is that Detective Gooch called the guy to try to get him to agree to help them with DNA. And it sounds like he was skeptical and didn't believe that it was real. Like, he thought he was being scammed, which I understand that. So then it sounds like there was a second call, a 3-way second call, in which the lab director from ISP got on the call with them. And then the guy just like straight up denied at that point. So he was skeptical that it was real. And then when he realized it was real, he was like, nah, I ain't doing none of this shit. And apparently backed out of it. I would love to hear that phone call. I would love to hear that phone call. Even if we don't have the name and they keep the name redacted, I'm fine with that. But I would still love to hear the phone call. So I'm going to try to get it. I'm going to FOIA it and see what they say. Okay, so then it says conclusion. Based on DNA analysis in conjunction with genealogical research, the recommended next steps are DNA reference testing from either, and this is probably several names that they just did a whole block instead of showing us the commas. The samples collected will be compared to the unknown male DNA profile generated by Othram Inc. Comparison is needed to increase the number of genetic matches available for forensic genetic genealogy. Once the reference DNA data is uploaded to the genetic databases, the additional data points can help narrow the relationship possibilities towards identifying the unknown male subject. Testing 1 generation above the top genetic match will increase the chances of other DNA matches. Disclaimer. Upon the instruction of the agency, work on this case ceased on 10 December 2022 before the DNA analysis and genealogical research was complete. So they wrote, so they continued letting their research go for another 6 days in order to write this report even after they were told to cease work? Is that how I'm understanding that? He continued working on it? Work on this case ceased on December 10th before the DNA analysis and genealogical research was complete. I mean, maybe not. Maybe this is just as far as it got and then it stopped from there. I mean, because we know that they didn't get to anything that was worth a damn thing. Okay, so here's like his definitions that he added to it. But this is important right here because these are the December 10th emails. These are the December 10th emails. So we have Saturday, December 10th, Darren Gilbertson, Edward Jacobson, which is the FBI guy, somebody Davis, Stephen Davis, Mike Mooney, and Alana Minton. Alana Minton. I don't know who that is. Contract instructions. And this is from Matthew Gamet to all these people. David, I wanted to express our heartfelt thank you for the work of your team on this case. The timeliness, the professionalism, confidentiality, and everything you and your staff have personally put in on this case is very much appreciated. They're writing this to the guy and his wife that have Othram. They're writing this to Othram. As we have discussed, the speed and effort you and Othram have put in on this case has been historic. As discussed on the phone, it is the desire of the lead investigative agency in this case, Moscow Police Chief James Fry, and lead prosecuting agency on this case, Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson, for you to provide the following information to Amy Whitman of the FBI. As the Idaho State Contract Agent with Othram Labs, Idaho State Police Forensic Services is providing the following instructions to Othram Labs. Please provide login credentials via email or phone to blank or the phone number. Please ask Verogen to transfer the GEDmatch Pro kit to the FBI account, and then there's a number probably. Please provide the SNP profile created by Othram via email to blank. The FBI has communicated that each of these pieces are necessary for the FBI IG team to complete their investigative genealogy process. Further, please also preserve the whole genome profile that you have generated on this case, any remaining DNA extract, if existing, any data generated on this case, any other records they have in this case, and anything else laid out in the state contract with Idaho until the Moscow Police and the Latah County PAO communicate that such information does not need to be retained by Othram Labs. Provide your final report on this case to ISPFS per the state contract stipulations and obligations. The Othram report will then be forwarded to the investigative team. Continue to honor your non-disclosure agreements that have been put into place in this case until further notice in writing from Moscow PD or Latah County PAO. See, the thing about this right here is they were out here talking all kinds of crazy way before we even had like a trial date, before we had a plea for sure. The Othram people were out here talking at CrimeCon and all kinds of stuff. There's stuff that goes back years. So when did their NDA stop? When did their NDA expire? Super freaking curious. Terminate any further work in this case unless specifically requested in writing by ISPFS, Moscow PD, or Latah County PAO. Provide ISPFS with your final invoice on this case, and ISPFS will make payment to Othram upon receipt of your final report to complete our contractual obligation for services rendered on this case. Please contact me if you need any further clarification or action from us to accommodate these instructions. And then it's signed Matthew Gamet. Index of contents. Notice of in-camera submissions consistent with court's order of October 25th, 2023. One tube. They had the tube sitting there? A tube? 66 pages in an FBI binder. FBI, Ancestry.com, Family Tree Close-Up, one tube. It's interesting. ISP emails, 37 of them. Othram emails and documents, 57 of them. Shipment of DNA profile documents, 9. Shipment of DNA profile documents. ISP Othram contract documents, 103. Well, we don't have all of that in here. I wish they would have just like given us all of that, but that's not what we have here. Sealed IgG supplemental request for exhibit in. So this was, okay, so when they were doing their supplemental discovery request, a lot of times it was some sealed stuff and we only saw the name of it and sort of an idea based off of what the conversation was at around the time of it being like filed, what it could be about. But for the majority, it wasn't descriptive. There might be like 1 or 2 words in there that maybe give you an idea, but it was really just us trying to figure out what the hell it was they were asking for at the time. So then we have sealed IgG supplemental request. This is the full, like, I guess, everything for what they were asking for this. All bench notes from Othram Labs regarding the testing of sample Q1.1 submitted by ISP, whether for microarray SMP testing or WGS, including but not limited to quantitation of DNA, identification of foreign DNA, including whether the sample was a single source or mixture of multiple human contributors, and identification of non-human DNA sources, if there was. It's not saying that there was non-human DNA. It's asking if there was any non-human DNA, please provide that information. Type of testing used, including test kit names and any associated manufacturer manuals or protocols. All names of any software used in processing the SNP WGS data, including any programs used in bioinformatics, analysis of any and all data generated by the lab. All names and CVs of individuals responsible for all testing steps, including bioinformatic analysis. All electronic data generated by Othram Labs for sample Q1.1 and associated controls, including the original data files generated from the S&P WGS testing and all data files generated by the bioinformatics process. If multiple runs of the sample were done, provide data for all runs. If multiple bioinformatics analysis were conducted, provide all data files and any documentation of why multiple analysis were conducted. Data file that was uploaded to any commercially available database, including but not limited to GEDmatch. All protocols and SOPs, including QA/QC manuals for each step in the S&P WGS process, from sample intake and assessment through bioinformatics processing. All logs and associated investigative documents for contamination or other unusual events in the testing process, including but not limited to sample/control contamination, to sample switching and equipment malfunction for a period of 6 months prior to and 6 months following the testing conducted in this case. Any and all validation summaries for the S&P WGS methods used, including all steps in the process from sample intake to data analysis, and for the bioinformatics programs used in this case. Identify and provide the S&P profiles uploaded by either Othram or FBI or both to any commercial database and used to obtain the 5 matches as listed on page 15452. Provide all photographs of the whiteboard where the family tree was created. I thought it was done in a PowerPoint presentation. So they really did it on a dry erase board? They made it sound like it was, I mean, I guess it could have been both, but they definitely did like a PowerPoint type presentation in Microsoft Teams on the 20th of December with MPD and everyone else. So that's interesting. Okay. That's interesting. Okay. Provide all screenshots of all matches found. Provide kit numbers for all matches identified at GEDmatch. Please provide all the names that appear in the match lists at Family Tree DNA and MyHeritage. Please provide email addresses for all matches at GEDmatch and Family Tree DNA. For all 5 matches listed on page 15452, in addition to total centimorgan amount, provide the size of the longest segment in centimorgans and the number of shared segments longer than 7 centimorgans. Please provide information relating to blank, where they fit in Bryan Kohberger's family tree. Who's this one person? Or maybe it's the brothers, asking where the brothers fit into Kohberger's actual family tree. Maybe that's what that is. Provide the name of the database from which each match was identified for both the Othram and FBI S&P profiles. Identify which matches from the maternal side were utilized to bring the focus to Bryan Kohberger. Describe the process of eliminating males in the generational line in both Bryan Kohberger's generation and Michael Kohberger's generation. Provide all other kit match data deemed not depicted in the family tree. Identify the person who knows and can explain all of the IgG process. Now, this is the state's response to this request. Now, is this going to be like it's normal? Are we going to give you a list of everything and say that we're doing our job? Yeah, it looks like it. Looks like it. Okay, so this is the unredacted version of their response then, I guess. Unredacted version. The state's responses are provided in blue. The state will continue to supplement its discovery responses as additional information is received. Filed 12825. Okay. All Othram Lab protocols, policy and procedures, and validation studies in place in December 2022 as testified about by Matthew Gammett on 12325, where he got on the stand in that closed session, the transcripts that we have read, where he talks about how he went down to Othram with a Boise cop. It's not a Boise cop. It was Detective Blaker with Moscow Police Department, or is it Sergeant Blaker? It's a Sergeant Blaker with MPD, not a Boise officer, but that's the session which again, just side note, also happens to be the exact same day that Brett Payne tells Ann Taylor they had a lead suspect before the 19th that they shelved when they got the call on the 19th, and that they found out about the unknown male DNA after the 19th, and they still shelved that shit. And that exact same night, suddenly the evidence fridge at MPD goes out. Just suddenly, that exact same night. I found that to be interesting. But let's go ahead and read this. The state objects to this request as untimely and improper. Matthew Gamet testified about Othram's protocols and procedures in the context of the bidding process. The documents related to the bidding were included in or referenced in the materials provided to the court to review in camera, which, regardless of how it sounds, does not mean on camera. Literally means the opposite. It means in private closed quarters. Nobody else can see. The court required the state to discover only the MOU from the bidding documents. Then it says to see the sealed order for disclosure of IGG information and protective order page 5, filed on 12/29/23. The state need only discover pages 99 to 103, the memorandum of understanding. The remaining contract documents are not relevant to any issue in this case. The court did not require the state to produce any of the other bidding documentation, including Othram's bid submission that discussed Othram's accreditation status, other customers' past cases, the name and qualifications of the primary genealogist, the name and qualifications of the chief scientist, and the SOPs or analytical methods that were to be used. Though the SOPs were inadvertently excluded from the materials reviewed in camera, the bidding document referencing the SOPs were included, and the court did not require disclosure of that document or the SOPs. You loud-ass damn phone. I forget how loud that damn thing is. I get on my nerves. And then it ain't even for me. It's somebody driving by with a mail. Like, go away. My God. Okay. Broke my earballs. All right. If the defense thought it should have access to any of the protected materials, the proper procedure would have been to move the court to reconsider its decision on the protective order, and the proper time would have been prior to the defense's deadline for discovery motions. 425. All Othram lab materials created, collected, or held pursuant to the policy and protocol in place as testified to by Matthew Gamet on 123/25. This request includes, but is not limited to, all bench notes, original electronic data files, photographs, quality records, including positive and negative controls and degradation contamination documents, bioinformatic methods, and documents related to case file, and then there's a case number. The state objects to this request as both untimely and improper. The state requested from Othram all documents and materials related to the use of IGG in this case and turned those documents over to the court for in-camera review. Remember, Judge looked at all that stuff. Well, I'm pretty sure he looked at all of it. The state disclosed to the defense everything ordered to be disclosed by the court after its in-camera review. See reference in 424 above to 12/29/23 order for disclosure of IGG information and protective order. If the defense thought it should have access to any of the protected materials, the proper procedure would have been to move the court to reconsider its decision on the protective order, and the proper time would have been prior to the defense's deadline for discovery motions. The simple fact that y'all think that y'all have any protected materials in this case is stupid. The defense shouldn't have to do any of this shit. If it's something that's being used in the case against her client, she should have had access to it. It doesn't matter about the protective order is for the case itself, not to stop the freaking attorneys working the case from seeing discovery. That right there was just the stupidest shit ever. It should have never been withheld. It's so stupid. 426. All documents and records produced to the FBI, including but not limited to documents and records from Othram, Moscow Police Department, Idaho State Police, and Latell County Prosecutor's Office. The state objects to this request as untimely and improper. The FBI's letter dated November 28, 2023, which the state produced to the defense on 129/24, explains that the FBI provided all the materials in its possession related to the utilization of IGG in this case to the court for an in-camera review. The state disclosed to the defense everything ordered to be disclosed by the court after its in-camera review. The requested materials either do not exist or were protected by the court's decision not to require the state to disclose them. If the defense thought it should have access to any of the protected materials, the proper procedure would have been blah, 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 because it's all the same dumb shit. I don't care. There's no reason there should have ever been a law written that says that there's a protective order that stops the defendant from being able to actually see the evidence against him. That's pathetic. 427, all written notes, records, emails, research, or documentation of any kind by Matthew Gamet regarding his efforts to research and obtain voluntary DNA to assist Othram's work to identify the contributor of the DNA on the sheath. Well, we only know of one phone call, but we don't know if that's the only phone call they've made. We know we've only been told about one person being reached out to, but there could be more, and they're just choosing not to tell us for some reason. Who knows? On February 11th, 2025, the state received the above requested information from ISP Legal Counsel. This information will be forthcoming in discovery. Okay, so then we should see more of that. I know, again, that Lisa Larkin has some of the information in her report, but I want to see it from the state's side. We'll see how different it is. 428, all written notes, reports, recordings, or emails related to Vicky Gooch's investigation, interviews, and any efforts made to obtain a voluntary DNA to assist Othram's work to identify the contributor of the DNA on the sheath. And again, she's the one who called the one of the brothers. The state has inquired of legal counsel for ISP and will supplement the response accordingly. But did they? I want this phone call. I want the phone call between the brother and Vicky Gooch, and then the second phone call that was a three-way between her, Matthew Gamet, and the brother. I really want those calls. The state has inquired of legal counsel. Okay, next one. 429. I'm actually going to probably put that FOIA request in while I'm listening to the Chris Whitcomb interview because I don't want to forget that. So let me open the Idaho State Police page so that it reminds my ass when I get off of here to file that because I want to see if we can get it. We probably won't be able to. It's probably considered work product, but I'm going to freaking try. A copy of all records the FBI received from Othram, including but not limited to all records, bioinformatic methods, and documents related to this case number. The state objects to this request as untimely and improper, because that seems to be the only thing they know how to say. The FBI's letter dated November 28th, 2023, which the state produced to the defense on 1/29/24, explains that the FBI provided all of the materials in its possession related to the utilization of IgG in this case to the court for in-camera review. The state disclosed to the defense everything ordered to be disclosed by the court after its in-camera review. The requested materials either do not exist or were protected by the court's decision not to require the state to disclose them. Say bullshit, that's just going to piss me off. Number 430, all records related to entry in databases GEDmatch Pro, Family Tree DNA, MyHeritage, and Ancestry.com. Yes, please give the defense CS or SC, whatever the initials were for the profile that they used for their bullshit. Does the defense have that profile? That one to me is just as important as anything else here. So does SC, does the defense have any paperwork regarding that at all? Like anything, a printout from a printer, anything at all for SC? I mean, we're being told basically everything they used was deleted regardless. But do they have anything at all for SC? That's crazy. They just got away with giving them literally nothing. Literally nothing. The state objects to this request the same way they always do. The defense already tried requesting the same or similar information. So it's untimely and improper, but it's only untimely because they got denied the first time and had to ask again. The parties litigated the issue and the court ruled that the state did not have to disclose this information, and that was back on 6/14/24. The defense's attempt to obtain information the court already ruled the state does not have to provide by sending the state a new request is improper. No, it's not. It's because y'all are full of shit. What y'all are doing is improper. It always has been. If the defense disagreed with the court's ruling, the proper procedure would have been to move the court to reconsider its decision. Okay, well, the court doesn't care. The court doesn't care. Hello. Copy of GED.com file that is part of the ancestry tree building as testified to by Dr. Leah Larkin on 1/23/25. The state objects to this request. The reference to Dr. Leah Larkin's testimony on 1/23/25, as if that is when the defense first learned of a GED.com file, is at best misleading. Now, we know what she talked ahead of that. Like 23, I think, is the first time that we heard from Leah Larkin in Latah County. The state sought a protective order for the IgG information in this case. The district court ordered in-camera review of the IgG information to determine what, if anything, should be disclosed to the defense. The state provided the court with a letter from the FBI dated November 28th, 2023, the letter explained, a digital version of the family tree exists in the form of a JEDCOM file and is available for in-camera review by the court upon request. Viewing the digital file requires downloading proprietary software. Examples of websites offering such software include Ancestry.com, GenoPro.com, and FamilyEcho.com. The additional data associated with the individuals as described above are not available via the JEDCOM file unless accessed via Ancestry.com. Then for these Bates pages, the court ordered the discovery of certain information reviewed in camera, but did not request the JEDCOM file or order its disclosure. The quoted FBI letter was produced to the defense on 1/29/24. The defense then waited 12 months after it learned of JEDCOM file and 75 days after its discovery motion deadline to first request the JEDCOM file. Additionally, the district's court decision in the state's motion for a protective order meant that the JEDCOM file was ordered protected by the court. And see, why does nobody find that to be a huge problem? I mean, I know that we find that to be a huge issue, but why is it that other people, even on the guilter side, just the simple fact that something was created that led to someone's arrest and it has been protected by the court and not allowed to be viewed by the defense at this, why was there not more people screaming about that? Why is there not more people screaming about that? Like, that's actually crazy. That's actually insane. The defense's attempt to obtain an already protected file by sending the state a new request is improper. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah. Number 432. Identity of FBI analyst creating the S&P utilized by the FBI in its genetic genealogy investigation. The state objects to this request, blah, 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 same thing as always. The request is also factually inaccurate in that no FBI analyst creating an S&P profile in this case. As the state explained to the defense in a letter dated October 11th, 2023, when it disclosed the two versions of the S&P profile. For context, on November 22nd, 2022, a portion of the DNA extract was personally delivered to Othram Laboratories from ISPFS. Using a portion of the DNA extract, Othram performed a DNA test called forensic grade genome sequencing. This created a S&P profile. This S&P profile was uploaded by Othram to begin genealogy research. On December 10th, 2022, Othram was instructed to cease all work on the case. Per instructions, Othram transferred all genetic genealogy database credentials to the FBI, emailed login instructions, and password. After this transfer, Othram no longer had access to the genetic genealogy database results. As a result, we are sending you two S&P profiles, one, the one developed by Othram, and two, one from the database transferred to the FBI. So what's the difference here? If you're going to tell me that one was developed by Othram and the other one was from a database transferred to the FBI, wasn't the stuff in the database from Othram? Didn't it go from Othram to the database to the FBI? What do you mean? How are these two different things? That's a little bit confusing to me. I don't see how number one and number two could be different. They should be the same. Now, if this say from the FBI, like say from the FBI over to ISP for them to have it in their possession, then I would understand that. But to say the one developed by Othram and then sent to the FBI from a database, well, that database information came from Othram, so it should be exactly the same one. I've never noticed that before, or this has never been read by my eyeballs before, because that's weird. Okay. 433, process used by the FBI analyst creating the S&P profile utilized by the FBI in its genetic genealogy investigation, including the type of bioinformatic programs used and any and all quality assurance / quality control manuals or protocols, as well as validation studies of this method. And then it just says, see response to request 432. So they want you to go back up here to get your answer for that one. 435, the state will file a motion in limine on the IGG information. Depending on how the court rules, the state may disclose one or more of the IGG analysts as fact witnesses for trial. May disclose? I mean, you'd think you'd freaking have to. What do you mean may disclose? 435, Results of the IgG, FIGG searches in each of the following databases: GEDmatch, GEDmatch Pro, Family Tree DNA, and MyHeritage. This request includes, but is not limited to, dates and results of each upload. The state objects to this request as both timely and improper. The defense already tried requesting the results from the searches in each database. The parties litigated the issue, and the court ruled that the state did not have to disclose the information. Yeah, that's where the problem lies. And this is also so stupid. They keep repeating that the defense shouldn't be re-asking for this information once there was already a ruling. No, bullshit. It should have never been ruled that way. If you don't get an answer that you like, you keep asking the question again in different ways until you finally get some sort of response that makes any sense. And if you're going to tell me that this is how you got to my client and we're not allowed to see this information and the court's agreeing with you that I can't see this information, then yes, I'm going to keep asking for that information. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I keep asking for it? You're hiding something from me. Why wouldn't I continue to keep bothering you about it until you finally cave in? Duh, especially in this kind of situation. What kind of defense attorney wouldn't keep asking for that information knowing how pertinent it is? 436, all work done by any FBI analyst, investigators, officers. Did I already read that part? Because I feel like I'm just repeating my freaking self. It's pretty much the same shit. Any persons working on behalf of the FBI in researching, interviewing, and testing any collateral contact for genetic testing. The state objects to this request as untimely and improper. The FBI's letter dated November 28th, 2023. It's all the same stuff. Any and all communications between Moscow PT, Latah County prosecutors, Idaho State Attorney General, or FBI with Othram Labs regarding S&P testing and genetic genealogy research conducted by Othram after 12/10/22. All non-attorney work product emails regarding IgG, S&P, or Othram genetic genealogy, which were ordered to be disclosed after the court's in-camera review, have been previously provided to the defendant. Interesting. All right. So let's see what this one is here. This one actually has some more FBI lab reports, I think, or ISP lab reports. So see, here we have, and actually this name is really interesting right here. For those of you that are on Facebook and that are in Facebook groups, you're probably going to know what I'm talking about. There's a piece of shit on Facebook that a lot of people are starting to think might be one of the Goncalves' alt accounts. And the name, I swear my brain is telling me this asshole's name that he uses is Eric Seat. I know that when I first saw this, I was like, that name sounds like the asshole's name that I just read about earlier today. See? So you've seen it? Yes. Isn't this the name he's actually, like, that account's using on Facebook? I feel like this is his name. So I don't know if it's just like some a-hole who saw the report, if it's just something, I don't freaking know. I just find it weird. So this is unredacted report number 3 that shows the reference oral sample for Connor Chestnut and then a DNA extract that was made from the oral sample from Connor Chestnut. And this is just showing that the swabs were there, the envelope that it came in, performed on 12/22. And then they have a bunch of, I thought this said unredacted. This shit says unredacted, and then this page right here is totally redacted. So maybe it's not related to the report. But what the hell is all of this supposed to be? What is all of this supposed to be? Okay. So now we have, oh, this one's even further back. This is interesting. See, just like on the Okay, so the FBI lab report that came out in June of last year, so not this June, last June, that has the hair in Ethan's hand being tested against Kohberger's hair. This is the exact same way that one was written, and I still don't understand what this is right here. Extortion aggravated to overt threats. I don't know why this says this. But the other one said it too. And they've never proven anything about Bryan trying to extort anybody or what this could be about. All we have is the weird shit that the Goncalveses keep claiming about Kaylee's case could go off to the FBI by itself. There's still some open investigation into Kohberger with the FBI for stalking and all this like weird shit. All we have is this random ass, no proof, no receipts as usual bullshit that they keep coming out with. But I don't know why the hell this says anything about extortion, aggravated or overt threats. I don't know why this is on here. You'd think that the charges that he was facing at the time would be what's on here, and it's not. And I just find that freaking weird. Okay. So let's see what this is that they're looking at here. Okay, so this is about oh, is this the devices? Computer lab. Ooh, okay. So this is an FBI report about devices. So let's see how many devices and what devices are talked about in here. Documents to the Philadelphia Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory report. On November 29th, 2024, the Philadelphia Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory was requested to do an additional copy of QPH51, an image of the Acer laptop hard drive. This additional forensic image was to be provided to subject matter experts. This request was completed and a technical report was completed by the lab, and that report is maintained in the A1 section of this report. And then it says to see the report of examination for additional details. So let's go down here. Philadelphia Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory in Radnor, Pennsylvania. Special Agent Blank, January 1st, 2025. Damn, they wasted no time. Oh, never mind. I thought that's at 2023. Okay. So up here is January 13th, 2025 too. So they didn't even do this like right away. That's interesting. So the one where they did the hair testing is in January 2023, literally right after. So they waited until January 2025 to even write up a damn report. Okay, let's go ahead and look at it. Requested November 29th, 2024. Report not written up until January 1st, 2025. Okay. This is a follow-up to 23157, and this is the original evidence list. So they looked at one Samsung cell phone. Contained within QPH1 is the SIM card. Then one Intel 512 gigabyte hard drive. One Seagate Barracuda terabyte hard drive. One Samsung, is it two phones? There's two Samsung phones here. No, never mind. This is an SD card. Nope, I'm wrong. One cell phone right here and one SD card. And then here's the Acer laptop. So we have this cell phone, we have the SIM card, then we have this hard drive, then we have this hard drive, then we have this SSD card, and then we have the actual laptop itself. Then we have Western Digital 512 gigabyte hard drive, and then the 2015 Hyundai Elantra. And then there's the VIN number. On November 29th, 2024, Special Agent Blank of the FBI Salt Lake City requested a forensic examination be conducted on the submitted digital evidence. This is a follow-up request to this request. Special Agent Blank requested that a copy of the image be provided to Blank or Blank for their review. Probably the Celebrate people. The examination was conducted between December 2nd, 2024 and December 3rd, 2024. The evidence was successfully processed in accordance to the request. The image of QPH51 was copied onto a Samsung USB drive labeled DEPH1, evidence barcode, there's the number. Why DEPH1? What does that stand for? Something in Pennsylvania, maybe. The USB drive contained a verified forensic image of QPH51. An archive of this case was not created as the archive is maintained in 23157. So it's already somewhere else. They didn't do it again. Disposition of the items. After the examination, DEPH1 was entered into the evidence control and will be turned over for review. There was no original evidence to return to evidence control for this request, as this was a follow-up request. No archive was created for this case, as the original archive for 23157 is retained at the Philadelphia RCFL. Examination and administrative documentation have been placed in the case file and will be maintained at the Philadelphia RCFL. Okay, so then you're not going to give us anything else from there? That's it? Follow up on what? Did you follow up on what? Trying to go in and see if there was anything that y'all didn't find the first time and you can't submit anything over because you didn't find anything? Is that how I'm supposed to be reading that, I guess? Look how old this was. Oh my God, this is from Latah County. State's response to defendant's 8th and 9th supplemental request for discovery. And this was way old. And then there's that same list as always. Certificate of delivery, Exhibit 1. I'm fucking sorry. Who is Emma Tiger? Who is Emma Tiger? Whatever iPhone was found in Kaylee's closet, it was extracted and belongs to somebody named Emma Tiger. I don't think I've ever seen that before. No idea. I've never heard Emma Tiger before. Is there anything? Emma is married to a tiger. So you've heard her name before. Do we know what a maiden name was? Is it somebody that we've heard of already? Is it someone that we've already known? I don't know. Oh, so okay, so Tiger is her maiden name. Whatever her real name is now is different. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so iPhone extraction from Kaylee's closet, later determined to be Emma Tiger's phone. The state has complied with this request, and it was discovered on 10/5/23. iPhone extraction of Xana's phone, as referenced in Fox's supplemental report, state complied, and this was discovered on 10/5/23. Copies of all digital image files in their original format taken by all officers, investigators, forensic personnel, and agents during the course of their investigation. To date, most of the images provided through discovery have been converted to a PDF format, which is of the lowest resolution, poorer image quality, and lacking in the metadata information embedded in the original file. This is a quadruple freaking homicide. Why would you give files over in a case that are of the lowest resolution possible? This is stupid, including all photo logs associated with the requested images. So all of the images are shit quality and are extremely needed for the case. And they didn't think, let's do some HD download right there. What the frick? I'm so tired of this. The state has provided 13,407 photographs to date. The state is in the process of gathering those files in the original format from multiple agencies for discovery. Due to the large volume of digital images sought, the state will need to request more time to comply with this request. My God. My God. Okay. All 2,718 raw data photographs taken by ISP Forensic Services. We believe we are currently missing photos 3374 through 4468. Holy shit. That's a lot of photos. This isn't saying 3374 and 4468. This is saying through. So how many is missing in all of these? 4468 minus 3374. So just right there is 1,094 missing pictures. So hopefully this has been corrected, because what the hell? 4901 minus 4505. So right there is 396 missing pictures. 8117 minus 7915. 202 missing pictures. So 1,094, 396, and 202. Hold on, let me Almost 1,700 photos are missing. Almost 1,700 photos are missing. My God. The state has been, well, that was at the time that this was given out on February 24th, 2025. And we know the photos that we've received. The state has been informed by the Idaho State Forensic Lab that general crime scene photographs are typically taken as JPEGs. However, comparison quality photographs, i.e. bloodstain, latent fingerprints, shoe or tire impressions, are typically taken as RAW. This is a camera setting. With one click of the camera, a JPEG in RAW image is taken, so 2 at one time. This results in files having the same photograph number, but be JPEG, and then the other one would be .nef. So 2 different photographs of the exact same thing, but automatically taken in 2 separate formats and saved that way. That's good to know. That's good to know. RAW photos are taken only when comparison quality photographs are needed, since RAW photos take up a lot more space than JPEG photographs. The photographs in AV00080 are the RAW photographs taken by the ISP Lab's Nikon camera for comparison quality. Not all photographs were taken in RAW format. The state will be providing JPEGs for ISP Lab photographs taken as detailed in response to 204. Okay, so the number 206 is for Cellbright's employees involved in the analysis of Kohberger's phone. The state complied and gave this information over on 10/20 of 23. Work product to include notes, reports, screenshots, results of all testing, and any other work product developed by Cellbright employees involved in the analysis of Kohberger's cell phone. The state has been informed that this item does not exist. I'm fucking sorry. Let me read that one more again. Work product to include notes, reports, screenshots, results of all testing, and any other work product developed by Cellbright employees involved in the analysis of Kohberger's cell phone. This item does not exist. Now, I know that this is an older document. What do you mean the work product for Cellbright doesn't exist for the work that was done on Kohberger's phone? What do you mean there was ever a time in any of this at all where the work product that included the notes, the reports, the screenshots, and any results of all the testing and any other work product developed by Cellbright employees involved in the analysis of Kohberger's cell phone? When was there ever a time that we were ever told this shit doesn't exist? That's a little confusing, considering that when we asked Cellbright directly for some of their information, they sent us a Google Drive with a shit ton of selfies and a bunch of nothing. So what do you mean it doesn't exist? It better exist. This better have been something corrected. What do you mean? Number 208. Lab report, bench notes, photos for testing conducted on items 132.1. What the frick is 132.1? As detailed in the state's informal discovery response sent on September 27, 2023, the state has provided the biology screening for this item as Bates number. The DNA analysis report has not been received. The state will discover upon receipt. What's 132.1? Now I need to go check my reports and see if I can see exactly what the frick they're talking about. 132.1. Idaho. Do I have anything for 132? Now we have a couple, like another report. I'm gonna go in here and add it, but we might already have it. Number 3, unredacted. Yeah, we already have it. All right, what is item number 132? 60s, 80s, 90s, back to 80s, 90s, 71, 60s and 70s. Here we're in the hundreds, 50s again. In the 20s, 127, 126, 128, 129, 130, and 131. So 130 is the turn signal switch assembly from Bryan Kohberger's vehicle. 131 is the shift knob and boot from Bryan Kohberger's vehicle. So what the frick is 132? The blanket. 132.1 is the stain near the top left corner on the pink blanket from Dylan. From report number 35. That's what 132.1 is. Okay. Now we know. Copy of Moscow Police Department Policy and Procedure Manual. The state complied and discovered this on 10/5/23. Copy of the Idaho State Police Policy and Procedure Manual specifically relating to crime scene procedures. And this says, as detailed in September 27, 2023's informal response to discovery, Idaho State Police's headquarters informed the state there was no written policy related to crime scene procedures, which is insanely incorrect. The non-sensitive policies related to investigations is being discovered in this week's hard drive as AV000810. The state emailed defense on October 18th, 2023, and is waiting for a response regarding the sensitive policies. Last page. Exhibit 2, state's response to defendant's ninth supplemental discovery request, Exhibit H. The state's responses are provided in blue. I don't see blue, babe. This is all black. So then 211. Oh, all recordings, video. I've seen this part already, I think. All recordings, video recordings, notes taken, measurements taken, identification of all persons present, any list of all props used during the timed runs conducted at 1122 King by law enforcement. The state has been informed the following items do not exist. Audio recordings, video recordings, notes, measurements, a list of props used. That's so funny considering that the one thing that Cy Ray is saying in his newest bullshit is that he has seen the video of Talbot in pain running around the house like a bunch of maniacs, stabbing shit like Gypsy Rose in her damn video to Nick Godejohn. Okay, he said he saw this. The state is informed that this recording of them being all stabby in the house, trying to say this shit could happen in a minute and 45 seconds, doesn't exist. I'm sorry. Your entire mentality of this case is that he's some sort of octopus ninja that can levitate like Jesus, and that he went through the entire house in less than 3 minutes. And that you can prove that by your little run video. So what do you mean? What do you mean? All they were given is a list of names that were there. We have the reports. We know. Like, we have the reports from this. Like, this is so stupid. Wow. Item number 836 and 837, which are 2 DVDs from Palouse Properties, as referenced in Blaker's supplemental report number 223. The state has complied with this request. Well, let's go see what number 223 is. Well, we still have about 15 minutes. Number 223 should be right up here. Okay, so supplement number 223 is information from somebody with the initials PP. Not recorded. It says no for watchdog event. Item 836, DVD-R with information about past tenants for PP in the area of King and Queen. I think we found that that was an apartment complex. I think we found that this was the name of an apartment complex, but I can't remember which one it was. Item 837, DVD-R with information about Hyundai Elantras from this place. During the course of this investigation, I had DS, manager for PP, reach out to me and ask if we wanted information about his past tenants and information of anyone who might own a Hyundai Elantra for the properties he manages. I told D I would accept any information he was legally and willingly able to provide to us. I provided the Hyundai Elantra information to the FBI as they were collecting any vehicle info and making lists of potential suspects who might have any relationship to the vehicles. I was later asked to burn all information I had to a DVD and book it into property. So this has now been booked into evidence. And this was on, I'm sorry. So this report was written on 7/26/23. And notice that when he's talking about when he talked to this person and got this information, it just says during the course of this investigation and doesn't give a date for when he did anything. Now, while it's also saying in the bottom over here, they're making a list and sending information over to the FBI for any potential suspects who might have any relationship to the victims. Sir, you are now past the grand jury date, and y'all are planning on tearing the house down in the next few months. Why is there not a date for when you actually did this? And if you're so sure you got the one guy after the grand jury and you've got nothing else that you've got going on, why are you making this kind of statement in this report that you wrote after? Interesting. Well, now I want more information on that. Oh my God, and there's his name. Is that his name? So the D guy is right here. They just put his name in this report. They put his name in this report. Audio recording. Oh, and there's Palouse Properties. There's the name of it right there. Man, they just gave it all away, didn't they? And this says that it was discovered on 9/26/23. But when did you go and speak to the person? So you wrote the report in July of 2023. And when did you talk to this person? Audio recording of contact. How is it an audio recording? Okay, that's what I thought right here. Not recorded. It says not a watchdog event on the damn report. So I was like, hold on a minute. So it was Palouse Properties, and the guy's name is Dan Schoenberg that he talked to. And this says this is as referenced in Gilbertson's supplemental report. Number 194. So they talked to the guys, they talked to them way before that too. Okay, so here's 223. Let's go up to 194 now. My God. That's 213. There's 190. So these should be about the exact same situation. Now, okay, so he said Gilbertson, though, didn't he? Gilbertson supplemental report number 94. So that wouldn't be Moscow. That would be the Idaho State Police. Okay, let me pull that folder up. Still got about 10 minutes. $194. It's 134. Let's just go ahead and skip lunch. Oh my God. Oh no, not 2. 194. My God. No, I went too much. Okay, what's this one? Okay, almost there. Oh, it's long. Oh, this is the time run thing. What is this? Okay, so this says up here, this is about the Palouse property thing. And now Gilbertson's supplemental report 194 doesn't have a hot damn thing to do with Palouse properties. This is about the time runs. This is about the time runs that they just told us that there wasn't any information for. So in the state's response, something's wrong here. What is wrong with this? So it seems like 212 and 213 are pretty much the exact same shit, but up here, somebody got something screwed up right here. Because this supplemental 194 for Gilbertson should be up here when it's talking about the time runs. Somebody screwed up something. Somebody screwed up something. And then their response should be saying something about how Gilbertson's supplemental report 94 doesn't have anything to do with any of this. Okay, anyway. So I guess that's all that we'll look at for now. I'm going to put in a request for that phone call. Both phone calls, I guess. Both phone calls, I guess. For when they spoke to whatever the family member was. I know how all that worked out. Yeah. 9 minutes to custody queens. I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here. Don't forget, I am going to be going live after this freaking weird little interview they're about to do. All I have to say is I hope that they bring the same energy to Chris Whitcomb that they did with Cy Ray. Because there's too many things that are misleading in this book for this book to now be what is unfortunately the freaking mouthpiece of the case, because Bryan mentioned the words broken plea in his statement, and people, instead of just taking it for what it means by definition, are now putting it with this book, which can be good, but also not at the same time, because people are going to tear apart all of the incorrect information in this book, deeming anything that is worth a shit in it not credible, because he's got so much other stuff wrong. And that's why it matters. That right there is why it matters. It doesn't matter anybody's personal opinion about the author or anything else. What matters is that he has such incorrect information in there that can very easily be found out that it's incorrect by very public and easily accessible records, that anything that he has in there of substance is going to be pushed aside because no one's going to focus on that. They're going to focus on what's wrong. And that's the issue. It's not Xana's blood on the pong table. He's got so much information in there incorrect, it's not even funny. Ugh. That's my only thing. That's my only thing. So we'll see if they bring the same today that they do, but I'm going to listen while I'm making dinner. And then I think the live is set for like 9:30 tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here. You will not see me in the chat. I'm going to be listening to it on my phone and not even looking at my screen while I'm doing other shit and just like mentally taking notes and writing down anything that might be hella important. But for the majority, I'm just going to keep it up here. So you won't see me, but you'll see me. You know, that's going to happen. So let's go ahead and get off of here. Thank you for coming in and going over these documents with me, guys. Welcome back, Kate Talley. Welcome back. Thank you for all the little jewels, guys. I appreciate that so much. Thank you for the gifted membership, Death Child, and welcome, Muggsy. Thank you for joining. I will see you guys in a little bit. I'll have my little thingy-mabobber up here soon in the middle of it so that you guys can grab onto it. But I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here. I have no idea what I'm going to make for dinner. Now I got to go figure all that out. Wish me luck. See y'all.